Okay, a brief hello to my Thai student Sandy. Hope you are watching. It's week 9 of the Premier League. These matches were played between October the 20th and the 22nd. They started on Friday and Brighton went to the London Stadium and put West Ham to the sword, winning 3-0 and leaving Bilic's job on the line. First came from Murray's header on 10 minutes. The Hammers responded well, but then Murray had a second chance and his Acuedo's shot was too much for Hart, and Murray got in the act again to get his second on 75 minutes, which led to a mass walkout by disgruntled fans. It's a Saturday and the early kick-off was at the Bridge. High-flying Watford arrived in confident mood and they were holding their own competitively when Pedro hit a beauty from 30 yards that curved away from Gomez. After that it was very easy on the eye, with Watford still knocking the ball around. Richarlison was a handful on the left, and with the half-time whistle approaching, Watford snatched a deserved equaliser when a long-range throw-in wasn't cleared and Decore hit a sweep drive just inside the near post. After the break, the action continued fast and furious. A last-gasp clearance thwarted Morata. Richarlison missed a gilt-edged chance before he put it on a plate for Pereira, who put the Hornets a goal up. And 2 minutes later, Richarlison missed another sitter, which would surely have sealed the win. However, Conte decided he needed to freshen things up, and Bashaway replaced Morata, and he repaid his manager with a great header following good work by Willian, also a sub. The last 20 minutes both sides were looking for a winner, but the champions showed their class. Another Willian cross was met by Azpilicueta and Conte celebrated by diving into the crowd. Bashaway got a very late second which flattered them. Watford a great effort, unlucky. So to the John Smith Stadium, a very wet and blustery setting, and it was clear from the start that United were not enjoying the challenge. Huddersfield were full of grit and running their socks off. Mata had hardly a touch when he was shrugged off the ball just inside United's half, and White collected after De Gea beat away a shot 1-0. Then a little later, Lindelof, who was on for the injured Phil Jones, made a right mess of a long punt downfield, and the striker routed De Gea, and Huddersfield were 2 up after half an hour. Mourinho made the expected changes at half-time, with Mata and Martial replaced by Lingard and Rashford, but the storming fight back never came. Huddersfield looked solid and the fanatical crowd willed on the Terriers. Rashford got one back after good work by Lukaku, but it never looked like an escape was going to happen. So Huddersfield 2, Man United 1. Mourinho was realistic in interview, but when Herrera said that the team never showed the fight, it was alarming how the sharpness and creativity has disappeared since the international break. So to the Etihad that has been spoilt for goals, great goals. So Burnley's task was an enormous one, but for half an hour they were competitive. City had a few half chances, but after a shot was blocked by the keeper, he touched a City leg and Aguero converted to equal City's all-time scoring record, 177 goals. Burnley didn't drop their heads, but eventually on 73 minutes Otamendi added a second, and a third came quickly with one of those rapturous passes from De Bruyne, setting up Sane. Sane's becoming a very accomplished striker. Manager Leicester went to the liberty and were quickly out of the blocks and had two early chances. The second, a shot from Albrighton that was brilliantly pushed over the bar by Fabianski. However, on 25 minutes, Mahrez, getting back to his best form, sent in a peach of a cross that went in off a defender's head. Leicester continued to impress, and Mahrez again set up Okazaki a few minutes into the second half. Swansea did get a consolation, but Leicester could have had more, with the Swans keeper making two great saves to keep out Vardy and Mahrez again. The Foxes out of the bottom three. Stoke and Bournemouth, both struggling, met with Hughes' Stoke looking to bounce back after that crushing defeat at the Etihad. The misery increased early when Sermon stroked the ball into Buckman's net after 16 minutes. And it got worse. A clumsy tackle by Shawcross, and Stanislas made it 2 from the penalty spot. Crouch came on for the second half, and again it had an effect, with the deficit half from Joyf. But Bournemouth got there resolute. They got there very resolute and held on for the win. Okay, problems for Mark Hughes. Southampton met West Brom at St Mary's, and Southampton looked keen, hitting an upright early on. Foster was again busy, but Albion held on to the break. The game looked deadlocked until Boufal picked up the ball inside his own half and proceeded to go past 5 Albion players and calmly stroked the ball into the right-hand lower corner. That was the winner. Albion very disappointing. Okay, now to St James's Park. Palace on a high visited Newcastle, but the first 20 minutes were forgettable. The game did improve with both sides getting half chances, but we had to wait till 5 minutes from time before the breakthrough, and it was Merino heading in from a corner to move Newcastle up to provisional 6th in the table. So, to Sunday's 2 clashes involving Merseyside and North London. First to Goodison, where Arsenal looked to put the disappointment of the late loss to Watford behind them, and Everton were just wanting a win in any shape or form to take the pressure off Koeman. The game started at a fast pace with Arsenal into their quick movement, and Everton did well to hold them off. Then on a rare raid into Arsenal's half, Arsenal lost possession and the ball fell to Rooney, and he hit a dream shot from 30 yards which hit the top corner, reminiscent of the goal he scored on debut 15 years back, also against Arsenal. The whole crowd had a lift, but it was a false dawn, and before half time Arsenal were level, courtesy of a Monreal strike. The second half was only a few minutes in, and a delightful cross from Sanchez was nodded in by Ozil, who had been looking like a world-class player again after months of ineffectiveness. Then Gay got a second yellow for a reckless challenge, and that signalled the Everton's players' heads to drop. Arsenal ran out 5-2 winners, but the game was over once the red card was shown. So to the heavyweight clash at Wembley, with Liverpool buoyant after their 7-goal bonanza at Maribor, and Spurs looking the part in a deserved draw at the Bernabeu against Real. Spurs oozing confidence must have got to Lovren, who forgot you can't be offside for a throw-in and allowed Kane to get away. And what happens? Mignolet decides to play defender, and it's 1-0 Spurs. Another diabolical mistake from Lovren a few minutes later, and Kane was away again, and a perfect pass to Son, and 2-0 after 20 minutes. Liverpool did rally, and Salah, always a threat, nipped ahead of the Spurs back four and flicked the ball past an advancing Lloris, and it was only 2-1 at half time. Or was it? In added on time, a late corner, a poor header landed at Dele Alli's right foot, and it was in the back of Liverpool's net. After the break, another scramble in Liverpool's box, and Kane snatched a fourth. The match was all over after that, and Spurs are now level with Man U. So some great games this weekend, and now Spurs are and United are 5 points behind City. Goal of the week? Well, it's got to be Wayne Rooney. He should still be playing for England. See you next week. Thanks.